Noah was reincarnated as a noble, but there was a major problem. Just one look at his status screen made that clear. It was nothing but pure disappointment. Born as the 13th prince of the imperial royal family, he quickly caught the emperor's attention. Upon learning that Noah's highest magic affinity was water, the emperor decided to gift him a thief near the water as a first birthday present. The moment he said that, Noah noticed something appear next to his E-rank water magic. The emperor then asked to see Noah's stat screen. Noah was a little worried. With a report card like that, he'd likely end up thrown in a dumpster. But miraculously, when his status screen was displayed, his water magic had changed from E to double S rank. Everything else was still a solid F, but who cared? A literal baby with the highest water magic stat any of them had ever seen was a clear indication of a genius water mage in the making. The emperor took an immediate liking to him. The reason his water magic appeared as SS rank was due to the thief granted to him at birth, though on his personal screen, it still showed as E plus S. Additional stat boosts came from his maids, and although he wasn't entirely sure why, it seemed the more servants he had, the stronger he became. His level was still only 1, but it could apparently be raised infinitely, so becoming overpowered was only a matter of time. For now, though, he was still pretty weak. One morning at breakfast, his maid Evelyn came to inform him that his brothers, specifically the 1st and 4th princes, had come to visit. Normally, that would be welcome news. But in his 6 years of life, Noah had learned that those two were massive jerks, so he had to tread carefully. He headed to the lounge to greet them. After formal pleasantries, the 1st prince, Albert, announced that he had brought Noah a gift and called for his servant to bring it in. The moment Noah saw the sword, it was immediately clear to him that it was cursed. He could literally see the tormented souls of the dead hovering around it, and Albert clearly knew. But he was playing dumb, and there was no way Noah could refuse a gift from the crown prince. Forced to accept it, he grabbed the handle and lifted it up as Albert casually explained that it was a water magic sword, and that over 120 knights had died trying to wield it. Noah's grip loosened instantly. The 4th prince reassured him, however, that everyone unworthy of the sword had died the moment they picked it up, so if the curse were going to affect him, he'd already be dead. His immunity was likely thanks to his double S water magic attribute. It was somewhat reassuring to know he wasn't in danger, but Noah was still furious that Albert had just risked his life for a pointless experiment. Not that he could say that out loud. He simply waited for Albert to leave so he could have some peace. Later that day, Noah was walking through the halls with his maid Zoe when he noticed she seemed unhappy. He asked what was wrong. She insisted she was fine, but Noah knew she wasn't and ordered her to tell him immediately. Zoe complied. She explained that her hometown had been hit by a flood, her mother's farm had been destroyed, and she had no means of rebuilding it. She had been advised that the only way to raise enough money was to work in the red light district during her time off, and that was exactly what she had intended to do. Noah refused to allow it. He told her he would give her mother a job instead. He had been meaning to hire a professional reargate closer, and since she came with a recommendation, he would pay her 10 renais a month. Zoe was taken aback. 10 renais was well above the standard salary, and she had never heard of a reargate closer position. But Noah had just made it up on the spot. It was his money, and no one was going to stop him. He also offered them use of an old house he owned on the outskirts of town, so they wouldn't need to worry about rent. Zoe had served him faithfully all his life. There was no way he'd let her sell herself because of a flood. Speaking of which, there was still one more thing to handle. He summoned his butler, Dylan, and ordered him to purchase as much of the flood-damaged land as possible. Both Dylan and Zoe were stunned, but Noah explained that con artists were bound to swoop in and take advantage of people who had just lost everything. He wanted to secure the land before that happened. Dylan was speechless. He couldn't believe a 6-year-old had thought so far ahead. Noah had seen this kind of thing in his past life, but he couldn't say that, so he moved on without explanation. Dylan was willing to help, but pointed out that by rough estimates, acquiring all that land would cost around 700,000 renais. Zoe was shocked. Even Noah acknowledged it was a small fortune. The average adult in the capital earned only 120 renais a year, enough for a family, a house, and decent food. His household was wealthier than most, but he only had around 500,000 renais available, meaning he needed to find another 200,000. With limited options, he decided to sell the thief he owned. Dylan immediately objected. It had been a gift from the emperor. and selling it without permission would be a crime against the imperial family. Noah was fully aware of that. He intended to do it anyway and was prepared to accept whatever punishment his father saw fit. The next day, as Noah and his retainers were preparing to depart for the flooded region, the fourth Prince Henry paid an unexpected visit. Unlike Albert, Henry was genuinely decent once you got to know him, and he had come to warn Noah that the sword had a will of its own. Even if Noah was immune to the curse, he would still need to earn the sword's recognition before he could wield it safely. Noah took the advice seriously, and shortly after, the group set off for the village of Tao. Upon arrival, calling it flood damage turned out to be a massive understatement. The place looked as though the land itself had been torn apart. Noah could tell that most homeowners had likely lost their documents in the flood, so he ordered Dylan to head to the government office and gather every copy he could find to make the land purchases smoother. In the meantime, Noah decided to go down personally and see how the villagers were holding up. Zoe objected. Reconnaissance wasn't a job for a prince, but Noah told her she could either come with him or wait in the carriage. She reluctantly came along. The situation was every bit as grim as it appeared. All the crops had been wiped out, meaning no harvest that year, and without a harvest, the villagers couldn't survive. Then a bell rang, and the villagers began gathering in what used to be the town square. Zoe assumed it was for food distribution, since the Empire provided disaster relief to flood-affected regions. Noah was glad the system appeared to be functioning, until he tasted the food and immediately took that back. It was miserable. Watery, flavorless broth made with what he strongly suspected were rotten vegetables. A nearby villager, not recognizing Noah as a prince, assumed he must be another flood victim. He told Noah that the food was always like this, and complaining did nothing because the people making it simply didn't care about things like health or food poisoning. Just then, a loud announcement signaled an inspection. Zoe informed Noah that the local government official, Lord Gerald, had arrived to inspect the food quality. Gerald took one look at the stew, thought it was revolting, and then ordered the chef to prepare him a proper meal back at the mansion. Noah wasn't about to let that slide. He confronted Gerald directly and asked whether the substandard food was being served because he was pocketing the rest of the budget for himself. Gerald, believing Noah was just another powerless peasant, openly admitted it, certain there was nothing the boy could do. Hearing Gerald brag about stealing from starving flood survivors made Noah's blood boil, so much so that the cursed sword began to react. Gerald had heard enough and drew his blade to cut Noah down. But before he could act, the Leviathan sword flew from its case and appeared at Noah's side. His will and sense of justice had been enough for the sword to finally acknowledge him. With its power now available to him, Noah effortlessly beheaded Gerald on the charges of embezzlement and threatening a royal prince. Shortly after, Lord Rowan, Gerald's superior, arrived, and the guards urged him to have Noah arrested for the killing. But the moment Rowan recognized him as the 13th prince, he dropped to his knee immediately. Noah told him they needed a long conversation about the situation there, a polite way of saying Rowan was in serious trouble for letting Gerald operate unchecked for so long. He noted that Gerald's accomplices were still present and expected Rowan to deal with them accordingly. In the meantime, he ordered that a proper meal be prepared for the villagers without delay. Later, after Noah had completed the purchase of the village, Albert received a report on everything that had transpired. He was surprised his brother had managed to wield the sword without suffering any drawbacks, but he was already thinking ahead to his next move. Meanwhile, Noah was summoned to meet with his father. He had fully expected a reprimand for selling imperial land without permission. Instead, the emperor thanked him. Had Noah not acted when he did, the damage to those people would have been far worse. The emperor told him plainly that he saw a capable young man before him and asked him to continue serving the empire with everything he had. Noah agreed without hesitation. Sometime later, Noah visited the city of Mears, prepared to intervene. So, Noah stepped up. He walked onto the stage and cited the specific clause in the so she could focus entirely on her singing without worrying about money, and she didn't need to pay him back. For now, he simply asked her to finish her performance. Upon returning home, Noah was greeted by his headmaid. It was good to be back, except for the sword appear out of nowhere. Henry was stunned. Noah's sleeve. The sword had been a national treasure for centuries, and no one had ever done anything remotely like that with it. Henry took it as yet another sign of Noah's natural talent. Later that evening, as Noah escorted Henry to the front gate, he noticed the thugs were still there, begging for forgiveness. He paid them no attention. One of them, growing frustrated by being ignored, Henry asked what he had just done. Noah explained that he had released a small amount of Leviathan's power, which Henry noted required an extraordinary level of control. By that point, Henry had Rayok. As they entered the banquet hall, Rayok noticed the sword at Noah's from his brother, the great sword, Leviathan. The room fell silent as everyone registered that a child was in possession of a national treasure. One man in the back openly suggested it was probably a replica toy. Noah wasn't about to let that go. He released a fraction of the sword's power to prove it was the real thing, though he took it slightly too far, nearly causing everyone present to faint from the sheer energy radiating off it. Everyone else fell in line, not wanting to test his patience. In truth, Noah hadn't been particularly angry, but the sword had been, and it had acted accordingly. When Rock asked what Noah intended to do about the man who had disrespected him, Noah simply let it go. It wasn't worth the trouble, and the party continued as planned. The nobles approached one by one to introduce themselves. Among them was Byron Allen, head of the Allen Company, accompanied by his daughter Cindy. After a single glance, Noah remarked that Cindy must be adopted. Byron was taken aback, but Noah was right. He asked how Noah could have known. Noah exploding, and the way she reacted when he said adopted told him she had once been a slave. Byron apologized for not clarifying sooner. He confirmed that he had originally purchased Cindy as a slave, but seeing how smart and capable she was, he decided it made more sense to raise her as his daughter and eventual heir. He assumed Noah would disapprove. On the contrary, Noah greatly approved. He told Byron that he and Cindy were welcome at his mansion any time. The next day, Noah headed out to browse the market. While there, he ran into his brother. Just then, a local shop owner named Allen approached them with a prime, and after witnessing Noah's display of strength, he thought Noah might be able to awaken it. For most people, it did nothing, but rumor had it that it would awaken for someone worthy. It sounded like a scam, but no. He asked the owner to stop admitting customers like that. The owner acknowledged the problem but said those were the only customers keeping the business afloat. In that case, Noah simply offered to buy the place outright and handed over a substantial sum. The singer came over to thank him, unsure of how she could ever repay him. Noah told her there was nothing to repay. One morning, as Noah was getting ready for the day, he received word that General Marley of Holejoy had come to visit. Holejoy was one of the most promising territories within Noah's domain, so he agreed to meet with him and had his maids bring him inside. Marley greeted him formally in the meeting room, but Noah told him there was no need for that and asked him to take a seat. The two had first met about 1.5 years ago, around the time Marley was appointed general. Noah asked how things were going, recalling that Marley had been given an imperial order to manage flood control in the area. One look at his face was enough to know it wasn't going well. It was a serious crime. Not only had he referred to the emperor as old, but he had used his name to cover up his own scheme, and the excuse itself, prioritizing a villa over a flooding territory, was simply inexcusable. About this, he had better hand over the funds immediately. The minister scrambled off in a panic to comply, and just like that, deception so clearly. He had also heard about how quickly Noah had mastered Leviathan's power, a remarkable feat given the sword's dark nature. Noah knew exactly how dark it could be. It nearly wiped out an entire room of people at that party if he hadn't reeled it back in time. Since Noah had yet to receive any formal sword training, the emperor had arranged an instructor for him, Damian Noble, the empire's greatest swordsman, undefeated by any opponent. The emperor wanted Noah to learn everything he could from him. Noah agreed, but before formal lessons could begin, Damian requested a friendly duel to gauge Noah's potential. The emperor was hesitant given that Noah had never trained with the sword, but Damian assured him it was simply an assessment. The emperor relented. Damian raised his sword and told Noah to attack however he wished. Noah grabbed Leviathan and charged. As they fought, he began to feel the memories and techniques of Leviathan's previous wielder flowing into him, sharpening his swordsmanship with every exchange. The two locked blades, and just as Damian thought he had the advantage, Noah swept his sword upward, disarming the greatest swordsman in the empire. Both Damien and the Emperor were left speechless. Noah had already attained the skills of a swordmaster. There was nothing left for Damien to teach him. The Emperor, equal parts astonished and proud, offered Noah the honor of presiding as head judge over that year's Knight Selection exam, and Noah was genuinely honored to accept. The Knight Selection exam was an annual event drawing participants from across the Empire. Military strength was paramount in the Empire, and regional winners would gather in the capital for a final battle, with the victor earning the title of Knight. A newly appointed knight's first duty was to serve under the tournament's head judge, and since Noah's stats increased every time he gained a talented subordinate, he was eager to see the results. The judging format was typically either round robin or elimination, but Noah had something different in mind. He requested permission to cancel the regional preliminaries and hold the entire tournament in the capital, explaining that he wanted to observe every battle personally and ensure no strong candidates were unfairly eliminated in his absence. The Emperor gave him full authority to proceed as he saw fit. Back home, Noah asked Zoe whether her village typically sent competitors to the exam. She confirmed it, but noted they could usually only afford to send one person, as the whole village pooled resources to cover a single candidate's travel and lodging costs. Noah told her he was eliminating the regional preliminaries, so her village was welcome to send as many candidates as they liked. Zoe was pleased, but pointed out that the financial issue remained regardless. Sending multiple candidates simply wasn't possible for them. Noah didn't want talent going to waste over money, so he decided to cover all candidates' travel and lodging expenses himself. Zoe was thrilled, but noted that accommodating that many people would cost an enormous sum. Noah already had a plan. He would purchase all vacant buildings in the area to house candidates, and if that proved insufficient, he would commission a hostel, ensuring the money spent would continue to hold value long after the tournament ended. For food, he would consult his merchant connections to negotiate the best possible deal. He eventually called a meeting with Byron for a cost estimate, but when Byron's numbers came through, they were far too low to be profitable. Noah called him out directly, telling him to state what he actually wanted in return. Byron, openly impressed that Noah grasped the mechanics of business at such a young age, dropped the pretense. He explained that there was a selection process for castle staff and asked if Noah could quietly arrange for one of his servants to be hired. That way, Byron would have an early line on any significant dealings within the castle walls. Noah agreed to the terms. In return, Byron pledged his full and exclusive support to Noah within the royal family. Gaining Byron as a subordinate gave Noah's stats a noticeable boost, but while checking his stat window, he noticed that his water magic had dropped by 1 rank. Since that stat was tied to his territories, something had to have gone wrong in Alria. He rushed immediately to inform the Emperor. The Emperor believed him, but asked how he could possibly know. Noah kept his answer vague, saying he had been picking up on signs for a while. That seemed to satisfy the curiosity. The conversation turned to the situation itself, and that was when Noah learned there was a full rebellion underway in Alria. The Emperor asked whether Noah would like to handle it personally. After considering it, Noah said no. Most nobles would have leaped at the chance for glory in battle, but he believed Henry was better suited. He had far more relevant experience. The Emperor accepted the recommendation. That night, Noah and Henry were riding together in a carriage when Henry asked if Noah was sure about his decision. In a nation that valued military achievement, suppressing a rebellion would have significantly elevated his standing. Noah explained that he wasn't experienced enough to be deployed into actual combat, and even if he managed to survive, many of his soldiers likely wouldn't, and that was something he was not willing to accept. Suddenly, Leviathan alerted him to hostile intent ahead. He told the driver to stop. Knowing the rebels were likely targeting him specifically, he broke away from Henry and ran to draw them away. 4 water jets erupted from the ground and converged on him as the rebels revealed themselves. His shield held, and he emerged unharmed. The rebels moved in to overwhelm him, but Noah dismantled all of them within seconds. Henry was stunned by how quickly it was over, though he expressed regret that none of them had been taken alive for questioning. Noah informed him that they were all, in fact, still alive. He had simply knocked them out. Henry was free to interrogate them as much as he wanted. Later, Noah learned that the Alrian rebels were predominantly cavalry, yet Alria had no horse farms of its own, meaning their horses and supplies were being sourced from outside the territory. That gave him an idea. He summoned Byron and ordered him to purchase all available horse feed in the surrounding regions. Cut off from their supply, the rebels' horses would eventually run out of food, and that would make Henry's job of crushing the rebellion considerably easier. Stay tuned for the next part. It's even crazier, so don't miss it. Subscribe if you're enjoying these recaps. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Also, if you want more anime recaps, make sure to check out this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.